The night was unusually quiet in Antarctica, the kind of silence that made the ice seem alive. Beneath the frozen surface, however, things were anything but calm. Deep underground, inside a sprawling complex hidden from the world, hundreds of scientists and engineers worked tirelessly on something no one thought was possible, except for humans. This was Erebus, a top-secret project born out of desperation and fueled by humanity's unshakable determination to survive against all odds. For decades, Earth had been teetering on the edge of collapse. Climate change ravaged the planet, wars, over-dwindling resources tore nations apart, and poverty spread like wildfire. Governments around the globe scrambled to find solutions, pouring billions into research projects aimed at solving the energy crisis. Most efforts failed miserably, but then came Dr. Elena Voss, a brilliant physicist whose theories about dark matter caught the attention of global leaders. Her proposal sounded like science fiction: harness the power of dark matter to create clean, limitless energy. Critics laughed at her ideas, dismissing them as impossible. But desperate times called for desperate measures, so funding poured in, and construction began on what would later become known as Erebus. At first, Erebus seemed like just another doomed experiment. The facility was built deep beneath the Antarctic ice, far away from prying eyes. Its existence wasn't even acknowledged officially. Only a select group of government officials knew about it. Inside, though, the air buzzed with excitement and fear. Every day brought new challenges. Every test carried the risk of catastrophic failure. Yet, despite setbacks and sleepless nights, the team refused to give up. They believed in Elena's vision even when she herself doubted it. Then, one fateful morning, everything changed. A routine experiment involving particle accelerators yielded results no one anticipated. Instead of merely generating energy, the machine created ripples in space-time itself. For a brief moment, the fabric of reality bent under the strain, distorting light and gravity within the lab. Panic erupted among the researchers, but Elena saw something extraordinary. She realized they hadn't stumbled upon a way to produce energy. They had discovered how to manipulate space-time. It was a breakthrough beyond imagination, one that could redefine humanity's place in the universe. News of the discovery traveled fast, but not too fast. Only a handful of people outside Erebus knew the full extent of what had happened. Governments immediately classified the findings, fearing the implications if word leaked out. Imagine the chaos if the public learned that humanity now possessed technology capable of bending the laws of physics. Conspiracy theories already ran rampant online. Adding fuel to the fire could destabilize an already fragile world. So, work continued in secrecy, with teams expanding the scope of their experiments. What started as a quest for sustainable energy evolved into something far greater: humanity's first steps toward mastering interstellar travel. As months turned into years, progress accelerated rapidly. Scientists developed devices capable of creating stable wormholes, shortcuts through space that allowed instantaneous travel across vast distances. Engineers designed engines powered by dark matter, enabling ships to reach speeds once thought impossible. Meanwhile, artificial intelligence systems were programmed to handle navigation and combat scenarios, ensuring human pilots wouldn't be overwhelmed by the complexities of hyperspace. Each breakthrough brought humanity closer to achieving its ultimate goal: leaving Earth behind and venturing into the stars. Yet, not everyone shared the same enthusiasm. Some members of the Erebus team grew uneasy as the project shifted focus from energy production to military applications. Weapons systems began taking shape alongside exploration vessels, raising ethical questions about how this newfound power would be used. Should humanity use its technology to protect itself or to dominate others? Tensions simmered beneath the surface, but there was no turning back now. The machinery hummed louder than ever, signaling the dawn of a new era. By the time the first prototype ship took flight, skepticism still lingered among those involved in the project. How could such a small planet, plagued by division and conflict, achieve feats rivaling the greatest civilizations in the galaxy? Pilots climbed aboard the sleek vessel, codenamed Aurora, feeling both awe and trepidation. As the countdown reached 0, engines roared to life, shaking the entire facility. Then, in a flash of blinding light, Aurora vanished, reappearing. Moments later, thousands of miles away above Earth's atmosphere. Cheers erupted throughout the control room as data streamed in confirming success. Humanity had done the impossible. It had conquered space, but the journey was far from over. While most of the world remained oblivious to Erebus's existence, whispers of strange phenomena began circulating among astronomers. Unexplained flashes in the sky, sudden disruptions in satellite signals, and anomalies detected near Jupiter hinted at something extraordinary happening beyond Earth's borders. Little did anyone know, these incidents marked the beginning of humanity's transformation from a struggling species clinging to survival into a force destined to reshape the cosmos. Deep underground, Elena stood before a holographic map of the solar system, her mind racing with possibilities. She knew that revealing Erebus to the world would spark both wonder and fear. Humanity had always dreamed of reaching the stars, but now that dream was becoming reality, and with it came responsibilities far greater than anyone imagined. No one thought it was possible, except for humans. And soon, the rest of the universe would learn exactly what that meant. For decades, humanity had been broadcasting messages into the cosmos, hoping someone or something was listening. These transmissions, filled with mathematical equations, images of Earth, and snippets of music, were humanity's way of saying, "We're here." But no one on Earth expected the response they eventually received. It came not as a friendly greeting but as a cautious probe, sent by an alien species known as the Zentari. The Zentari were explorers, their sleek ships gliding silently through space like shadows. When they arrived near Jupiter, they weren't prepared for what they found. The Zentari had seen many civilizations during their travels across the galaxy. Some were peaceful, others warlike, but none quite like humanity. Humans puzzled them. On one hand, these beings lived on a fragile planet teetering on environmental collapse. Their history was riddled with wars, inequality, and chaos. Yet, beneath all that disorder lay a spark of ingenuity unlike anything the Zentari had encountered before. They watched from afar, studying human behavior, trying to decide whether this species posed a threat or an opportunity. At first, the Zentari approached cautiously. Their envoys landed in remote areas, avoiding detection while gathering intelligence. What they discovered shocked them. Humans were advancing faster than any civilization they'd ever observed. Within just a few centuries, this species had gone from horse-drawn carriages to splitting atoms. And now, rumors of strange experiments deep within Earth's icy wilderness hinted at something even more alarming. The Zentari couldn't ignore it. Humanity's rapid progress made them unpredictable, and unpredictability was dangerous. Word of the Zentari's presence eventually reached Earth's leaders, though not through official channels. Amateur astronomers captured blurry footage of unidentified objects hovering near Jupiter. Conspiracy theories exploded online, claiming everything from secret government cover-ups to alien invasions. Meanwhile, inside Erebus, Dr. Elena Voss and her team scrambled to understand the implications. If the Zentari knew about Antarctica, then humanity's greatest secret was no longer safe. Tensions mounted as debates raged over how to respond. Some argued for immediate disclosure, believing transparency might foster trust. Others insisted on keeping Erebus classified, fearing panic, or worse, retaliation. Before Earth could make a decision, the Zentari acted. A massive fleet of ships descended toward Earth's orbit, their intentions unclear. Panic swept across the globe as news outlets broadcast live footage of the alien armada. Cities emptied as people fled to bunkers or gathered in streets, staring upward in awe and terror. Governments issued emergency alerts urging calm while scrambling to prepare defenses. But humanity's conventional weapons were useless against the advanced technology displayed by the Zentari. For the first time in history, Earth faced an existential threat from beyond the stars. Inside Erebus, the mood was grim. Scientists and Military officials huddled around monitors analyzing every move the Zentari made. The aliens transmitted a message, demanding Earth surrender its resources or face annihilation. Their tone was cold, devoid of emotion, treating humanity as little more than pests infesting a valuable piece of real estate. Leaders debated how to respond, torn between appeasement and resistance. Then Elena stepped forward, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "If we show weakness now," she said, "we'll never be taken seriously again." With no other options left, humanity unveiled its ace in the hole. Aurora, the prototype star destroyer developed under Erebus. Until now, only a handful of people outside the project knew of its existence. As orders were relayed to the ship's crew, millions held their breath, unsure whether this gamble would succeed or doom them all. High above Earth, Aurora emerged from hiding, its sleek design gleaming in the sunlight. The Zentari fleet paused, clearly surprised by the sudden appearance of such a formidable vessel. Moments later, Aurora unleashed its primary weapon, a concentrated beam of dark matter energy capable of tearing apart matter at a molecular level. The effect was instantaneous and devastating. In a flash of light, several Zentari ships disintegrated, reduced to nothing more than drifting debris. The remaining vessels hesitated, their formations crumbling as confusion spread among their ranks. Back on Earth, cheers erupted in command centers as data confirmed the attack's success. The Zentari, realizing they were outmatched, retreated hastily, disappearing into the void from which they came. Silence fell over the planet as humanity absorbed the magnitude of what had just happened. For the first time, Earth had defended itself, not with brute force but with intellect and innovation. News of the incident spread quickly, not just on Earth but throughout the galaxy. Alien civilizations monitored the events closely, their reactions ranging from admiration to outright fear. Many species had assumed humanity was too primitive to pose any real threat. Now, those assumptions lay shattered. Stories of the Terrans' victory traveled across star systems, sparking both curiosity and caution. Some races saw potential allies in humanity. Others viewed them as a rising menace that needed to be contained. Either way, one thing was clear. Earth was no longer an insignificant speck in the cosmos. Back home, celebrations were tempered by sobering reflections. While Aurora's triumph proved humanity's capabilities, it also highlighted the dangers of wielding such power. Debates flared over how to proceed. Should Earth reveal its full strength to the universe, establishing dominance through fear? Or should it take a more measured approach, using its newfound abilities to build bridges rather than barriers? Elena and her team advocated for restraint, warning that aggression could lead to isolation, or worse, provoke larger empires to retaliate. Others, however, believed showing weakness would invite exploitation. As days passed, humanity began grappling with its new reality. The Zentari incident forced Earth's leaders to confront uncomfortable truths. They were no longer alone in the universe, nor were they the helpless inhabitants of a backwater planet. With Erebus's technology, humanity had leveled the playing field and perhaps tipped the scales in its favor. Yet power came with responsibility, and decisions made now would shape the future of not just Earth, but countless worlds beyond. In the aftermath, Elena stood once again before the holographic map of the solar system. This time, however, the display included markers indicating alien territories, trade routes, and uncharted regions of space. Her mind raced with possibilities. Humanity had taken its first step onto the galactic stage, but there were countless challenges ahead. No one thought it was possible except for humans. And now, standing on the precipice of greatness, they faced a choice: use their power wisely, or risk becoming the very threat they sought to protect themselves from. The victory over the Zentari fleet was a turning point, but it wasn't the end. For humanity, it marked the beginning of a race against time, a race to ensure that Earth would never again find itself vulnerable. The Zentari retreat had bought them precious time, but whispers from across the galaxy made one thing clear. Word of Aurora's power had spread, and it wouldn't be long before other alien empires took notice. Humanity needed more than just one star destroyer. It needed an armada. It needed strength on a scale that could protect not only Earth, but also its ambitions in the stars. Construction began immediately, with Erebus transforming into a hub of frenzied activity. Massive shipyards sprang up in hidden locations across the solar system, beneath the surface of Mars, inside hollowed-out asteroids, and even cloaked behind the rings of Saturn. These facilities were marvels of engineering, themselves, designed to churn out fleets of star destroyers at an unprecedented pace. Each ship was a masterpiece of human ingenuity, combining cutting-edge technology with sleek, intimidating designs meant to strike fear into any potential adversary. Weapons systems based on dark matter manipulation became standard, capable of obliterating entire planets if necessary. Hyperspace engines allowed for instantaneous travel across vast distances, while AI-driven navigation ensured precision unmatched by any known alien counterpart. Yet building an interstellar navy wasn't just about hardware, it required people too. Pilots, engineers, and strategists were recruited from every corner of Earth, chosen not only for their skills, but also for their resilience. Training programs were launched in secret facilities scattered around the globe. New recruits underwent grueling simulations, learning how to handle speeds and maneuvers that defied the laws of physics. Instructors pushed them to their limits, knowing full well that failure in space meant certain death. Despite the challenges, morale remained high. These men and women weren't just soldiers, they were pioneers, representing humanity's first steps into the unknown. While the military prepared for war, diplomats worked tirelessly to forge alliances. The Galactic Concord was established as a coalition of species willing to cooperate with Earth in exchange for protection. Alien envoys arrived cautiously, their eyes wide with awe as they toured Erebus's facilities. Some came seeking refuge from hostile empires. Others offered resources or knowledge in return for humanity's patronage. Elena Voss played a key role in these negotiations, her calm demeanor and sharp intellect earning respect even among skeptical aliens. She emphasized that Earth sought partnership, not domination, though the presence of Aurora looming silently above every meeting served as a subtle reminder of humanity's capabilities. Despite these efforts, not everyone welcomed humanity's rise. Rumors of rebellion simmered in the shadows, fueled by those who resented Earth's sudden prominence. Rogue factions within alien territories began plotting attacks, determined to test the limits of human resolve. Spies infiltrated Erebus's ranks, feeding information to enemies who saw humanity as a threat to their dominance. Sabotage attempts grew frequent, forcing security measures to tighten across all facilities. Yet, despite these dangers, progress continued unabated. Humanity adapted quickly, using its technological edge to stay one step ahead of its foes. One of the most ambitious projects undertaken during this period was the creation of the Stellar Gate Network. Building on the principles of wormhole, Generation discovered years earlier, scientists developed a system of permanent portals connecting distant parts of the galaxy. These gates allowed for instant travel between key locations, effectively shrinking the vastness of space. Entire colonies were established overnight, thriving ecosystems built on barren moons and desolate planets. Resources flowed freely through the network, bolstering Earth's economy while providing safe havens in case of conflict. The stellar gates became symbols of humanity's ingenuity and ambition. As fleets grew larger and colonies expanded further, humanity faced another challenge: governance. How do you manage an empire spanning light years? Traditional methods of leadership proved inadequate in such a vast domain. A new council was formed, consisting of representatives from both Earth and allied alien species. This body, known as the Interstellar Assembly, oversaw decisions related to trade, defense, and diplomacy. It wasn't perfect. Disagreements often erupted between human and non-human members, but it represented a step toward unity in a fractured universe. Back on Earth, life changed dramatically. News of humanity's achievements inspired millions. sparking a renaissance in science, art, and culture. Cities grew taller, powered by clean energy derived from dark matter reactors. Poverty rates plummeted as resources harvested from distant worlds flooded markets. Education systems transformed, focusing heavily on STEM fields to prepare future generations for life among the stars. Yet, not everyone benefited equally. Critics argued that the focus on expansion left Earth's poorest communities behind, widening the gap between rich and poor. Protests erupted in major cities, demanding greater accountability from leaders consumed by dreams of galactic conquest. Amidst these tensions, Elena found herself increasingly torn. Her vision of a peaceful, cooperative future seemed farther away than ever. Every decision she made carried weighty consequences, each choice pulling humanity closer to either utopia or ruin. Late at night, she would stare at the holographic map of the expanding empire, wondering whether they were doing the right thing. Was humanity ready for the responsibilities that came with such immense power? Or were they simply repeating the mistakes of history on a cosmic scale? Then came the day when everything changed once again. Reports poured in from deep space describing strange phenomena near the edges of explored territory. Ships sent to investigate vanished without a trace, leaving behind only garbled transmissions and cryptic warnings. Something, or someone, was watching, waiting for the right moment to strike. Fears of invasion gripped both Earth and its allies, prompting emergency meetings of the Interstellar Assembly. Military commanders scrambled to reinforce borders, deploying newly constructed star destroyers along critical routes. Tensions reached a fever pitch as everyone braced for what might come next. Elena stood before the assembly, her voice steady, despite the storm brewing around her. "We've built this empire not out of greed or malice," she said, "but because we believed in a better future, for all of us. If we let fear divide us now, then we've already lost." Her words resonated deeply, reminding everyone present of why they had embarked on this journey in the first place. No one thought it was possible, except for humans. And now, standing on the brink of chaos, they realized that survival depended not just on strength, but on unity. With renewed determination, humanity prepared for whatever lay ahead. Star destroyers patrolled the skies, their imposing silhouettes, casting shadows over countless worlds. Colonies fortified their defenses while scientists raced to develop new technologies that could tip the balance in humanity's favor. Meanwhile, emissaries traveled far and wide, spreading messages of hope and cooperation to anyone willing to listen. The stage was set for humanity's greatest challenge yet, and no one knew whether they would emerge victorious or vanish into the void like so many civilizations before them. It was a quiet Tuesday evening when the world stopped in its tracks. People around the globe were going about their usual routines, some preparing dinner, others commuting home, and many scrolling through their phones. Then, without warning, the sky split open. Massive rifts tore through the fabric of reality above major cities, revealing gleaming metallic behemoths suspended in orbit. The ships were enormous, their sleek designs reflecting sunlight like mirrors, casting eerie shadows over entire metropolises. Humanity had unveiled its star destroyers to the world, and not just Earth's population but the entire universe. For weeks leading up to this moment, rumors had circulated online about strange activity near Antarctica and unexplained phenomena in space. Conspiracy theorists claimed governments were hiding something big, but no one could have predicted what happened next. Dozens of star destroyers descended gracefully from the heavens, their engines humming softly as they positioned themselves above landmarks like the Statue of Liberty, the Eiffel Tower, and the Great Wall of China. Crowds gathered below, staring upward in awe as holographic messages broadcasted from the ships declared peace and dominance. "We are not conquerors," the voice boomed, calm but firm, "but we will defend our home and all who stand with us." The reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Social media exploded with videos and photos of the event. Hashtags like Trash Sky Splitting and Human Empire trending globally within minutes. News anchors struggled to keep up, their voices trembling as they described scenes they couldn't fully comprehend. Some people cheered, waving flags and chanting slogans of pride, Others cowered in fear, convinced the end of the world was near. Religious leaders called for prayer, interpreting the appearance of the ships as either divine intervention or apocalyptic prophecy. Meanwhile, scientists tried to make sense of it all, analyzing data and speculating about how humanity had achieved such technological marvels seemingly overnight. Across the galaxy, reactions varied wildly. Alien civilizations that had once dismissed humans as primitive now watched in stunned silence. The Zentari, still reeling from their humiliating defeat years earlier, braced for retaliation. Other species scrambled to bolster their defenses, fearing Earth might turn its newfound power against them. Yet, amid the fear and uncertainty, admiration began to take root. Stories of humanity's ingenuity spread far and wide, inspiring some to see Earth not as a threat, but as a beacon of hope. Trade delegations arrived cautiously, eager to curry favor with the rising force. Diplomats from distant empires sought audiences with Earth's leaders, hoping to secure alliances before rival factions did. Back on Earth, however, there was little celebration among those in charge. Leaders knew the risks of revealing Erebus's existence so publicly. While the display of strength sent a clear message to potential adversaries, it also painted a target on Earth's back. Rogue factions and hostile empires would undoubtedly attempt to exploit any perceived weakness. Security measures were tightened across all facilities, with military patrols doubling around key locations. Intelligence agencies worked around the clock, monitoring communications for signs of impending attacks. Despite these precautions, tensions simmered beneath the surface, threatening to boil over at any moment. Dr. Elena Voss stood at the center of it all, her role shifting from scientist to stateswoman. She became the face of humanity's new era, addressing global audiences and alien envoys alike with unwavering poise. Her speeches emphasized unity and cooperation, urging both humans and extraterrestrials to focus on shared goals rather than division. Yet behind closed doors she wrestled with doubts. Revealing Erebus had been necessary, but at what cost? Every decision carried weighty consequences, each choice pulling humanity closer to either utopia or ruin. Late at night, she often found herself staring at the holographic map of the expanding empire, wondering if they were truly ready for what lay ahead. As days passed, life on Earth began to adapt to the new reality. Cities grew quieter as people adjusted to the constant presence of star destroyers in the skies. Schools incorporated lessons about interstellar diplomacy into curriculums, while businesses capitalized on the surge in interest in space exploration. Entrepreneurs launched startups focused on developing technologies compatible with alien markets, while artists created works inspired by humanity's journey into the stars. Even language evolved, with phrases like sky splitter entering common usage to describe moments of awe-inspiring breakthroughs. Yet, not everyone embraced the changes. Protests erupted in major cities, with demonstrators accusing governments of prioritizing expansion over domestic issues. Critics argued that resources spent building starships should have been used to address poverty, inequality, and environmental damage. Tensions escalated as clashes broke out between law enforcement and activists, drawing international attention. Meanwhile, rogue nations and underground organizations plotted sabotage attempts, determined to undermine humanity's progress. Spies infiltrated Erebus's ranks, feeding information to enemies lurking in the shadows. Despite these challenges, humanity pressed forward. Fleets of star destroyers patrolled distant sectors, ensuring peace while opening trade routes that brought prosperity to countless worlds. Colonies thrived under the protection of the Stellar Gate network, which continued to expand, connecting even more regions of the galaxy. Scientists developed groundbreaking technologies, pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible. Artificial intelligence systems grew increasingly sophisticated, aiding in everything from navigation to medical research. Humanity's influence stretched farther than ever before, reshaping the cosmos in ways no one had imagined. Then came the whispers of rebellion. Deep in uncharted territories, hostile empires quietly assembled forces, plotting to challenge Earth's dominance. Their leaders viewed humanity as arrogant upstarts undeserving of their place among the stars. Propaganda campaigns portrayed Earth as a tyrannical regime bent on conquest, rallying support from disenfranchised species eager to reclaim lost territory. Sabotage attempts grew bolder, targeting supply lines and communication networks. Intelligence reports warned of an imminent attack, forcing military commanders to prepare for war once again. Elena faced mounting pressure as debates raged over how to respond. Some advocated for preemptive strikes, arguing that striking first would send a clear message to potential adversaries. Others urged caution, warning that aggression could fracture fragile alliances and isolate Earth from the rest of the galaxy. Elena leaned toward restraint, believing that diplomacy remained humanity's greatest weapon. Yet she couldn't ignore the growing threats. Orders were issued to reinforce borders, deploying newly constructed star destroyers along critical routes. Pilots trained relentlessly, adapting to speeds and maneuvers that made traditional dogfighting look like child's play. As preparations intensified, humanity braced for the inevitable. Star destroyers loomed larger than ever in the skies, their imposing silhouettes casting long shadows over countless worlds. Colonies fortified their defenses, while emissaries traveled far and wide, spreading messages of hope and cooperation to anyone willing to listen. The stage was set for humanity's greatest challenge yet, and no one knew whether they would emerge victorious or vanish into the void like so many civilizations before them. No one thought it was possible except for humans. And now, standing on the brink of chaos, they realized that survival depended not just on strength, but on unity. The day humanity had been dreading and preparing for finally arrived. Across the galaxy, alarms blared as enemy fleets emerged from hyperspace near Earth's borders. This time, it wasn't just the Zentari. An alliance of hostile empires had united under a single banner, determined to crush humanity's rise before it could grow any stronger. Their message was clear. Earth's dominance would not be tolerated. For hours, sensors tracked hundreds of ships converging on key locations, the stellar gates, vital colonies, and even Earth itself. The universe held its breath as two forces prepared to collide in what would become known as the Battle of Eternity. Humanity's response was swift and calculated. Star destroyers mobilized instantly, their engines roaring to life as they formed impenetrable barriers around critical points. Pilots, trained for years in simulated combat scenarios, executed maneuvers with precision that left enemies struggling to adapt. Hyperspace jumps allowed human vessels to outmaneuver slower alien ships, striking with surgical accuracy before disappearing into the void. Weapons powered by dark matter tore through enemy ranks, reducing massive cruisers to smoldering wreckage within seconds. Yet despite their technological superiority, humanity faced challenges unlike anything they'd encountered before. The sheer scale of the invasion tested every ounce of preparation Erebus had undertaken. Amidst the chaos, Dr. Elena Voss stood at the heart of command operations, her mind racing faster than ever. She coordinated strategies across light years, relaying orders to commanders while analyzing real-time data streaming in from battlefields scattered throughout the galaxy. Her calm demeanor masked the storm brewing inside her. Every decision carried weighty consequences, each choice pulling humanity closer to either triumph or disaster. Late at night, when brief moments of quiet allowed reflection, she stared at holographic maps showing the ebb and flow of the conflict. "We've come so far," she whispered to herself. "But are we ready for this?" On the front lines, pilots fought with unmatched determination. Among them was Captain Ryan Caldera, a decorated veteran who had risen through the ranks after being recruited straight out of flight school. His squadron, nicknamed the Sky Splitters, became legends during the battle. Armed with experimental weapon systems developed secretly beneath Mars's surface, they turned the tide in several engagements, decimating enemy formations with devastating efficiency. Yet, victories came at a cost. Caldera watched friends vanish. In flashes of light, their ships consumed by explosions too fast for escape pods to deploy. Each loss weighed heavily on him, but he pressed forward, knowing retreat wasn't an option, not when billions depended on their success. Back on Earth, civilians rallied together in unprecedented ways. Factories operated around the clock, producing ammunition, spare parts, and medical supplies for troops stationed light years away. Communities organized fundraisers to support families affected by the war, while volunteers signed up en masse to assist in logistics and communications. Even children contributed, writing letters addressed to our heroes among the stars. These small acts of solidarity reminded everyone involved why they were fighting, not just for survival, but for a future where humanity could thrive alongside other species. As days turned into weeks, the battle raged on without end in sight. Alien empires launched relentless assaults, testing humanity's resolve with wave after wave of attacks. Yet, slowly but surely, cracks began to form in their unity. Disagreements erupted among coalition members over tactics and resource allocation, weakening their collective strength. Humanity exploited these divisions, targeting weaker factions first and offering terms of surrender to those willing to negotiate. Diplomats worked tirelessly behind the scenes, brokering deals that sowed discord among enemies. One by one, some species withdrew from the fight, leaving others to bear the brunt of humanity's counteroffensive. The turning point came during the siege of Proxima Centauri, a strategically vital colony located near Earth's closest stellar neighbor. Enemy forces surrounded the settlement, cutting off supply lines and bombarding defenses with unrelenting ferocity. Trapped inside, colonists prepared for the worst, barricading themselves in shelters while awaiting reinforcements. Then, like angels descending from heaven, star destroyers appeared on the horizon, their arrival heralded by deafening roars of engines. In a dazzling display of coordination, human forces unleashed everything they had, obliterating the blockade in a matter of minutes. Cheers erupted across the galaxy as footage of the rescue mission spread, reinvigorating morale among allies and striking fear into adversaries. With momentum firmly on their side, humanity launched Operation Dawnbreaker, a final push aimed at dismantling the remaining enemy fleets. Dozens of star destroyers converged on a central location deep in uncharted space, forcing the coalition into a desperate last stand. The ensuing battle was nothing short of cataclysmic. Entire sectors of space reduced to debris fields as titanic vessels clashed in fiery duels. At its climax, Aurora, the prototype ship that started it all, faced off against the flagship of the coalition's leader, a hulking monstrosity bristling with cannons. For hours, the two behemoths exchanged blows, neither side yielding an inch. Finally, with a burst of dark matter energy, Aurora delivered the killing blow, shattering the enemy command structure and sending shockwaves rippling through their ranks. Victory came at a heavy price. Billions of credits had been spent, countless lives lost, and scars carved deep into the collective psyche of humanity. Yet as survivors emerged from bunkers and colonies celebrated liberation, a sense of pride overshadowed the grief. Humanity had proven itself capable of standing toe-to-toe with the greatest powers in the galaxy and emerging victorious. News of the triumph traveled far and wide, inspiring awe and admiration among many alien species. Stories of the Terrans' resilience spread like wildfire, transforming fear into respect. Slowly but surely, humanity transitioned from being seen as a threat to becoming a symbol of hope. In the aftermath, Elena Voss took center stage once again, addressing both Earth's population and the wider galactic community. Her speech emphasized reconciliation over retribution, urging former enemies to join hands in building a better future. Under her guidance, the galactic Concord expanded, welcoming new members eager to benefit from humanity's protection and technology. Trade flourished. Cultural exchanges bridged divides, and joint research initiatives pushed the boundaries of science further than ever before. Humanity's empire grew larger and more inclusive, proving that strength coupled with compassion could reshape the cosmos. Yet challenges remained. Rogue factions still lurked in the shadows, plotting revenge. Environmental degradation on Earth demanded urgent attention. reminding leaders that progress shouldn't come at the expense of the planet's health. And ethical questions surrounding the use of dark matter technology lingered, prompting debates about how much power was too much. But through it all, humanity persevered, guided by the same spirit of innovation and determination that brought them this far. No one thought it was possible, except for humans. And now, standing among the stars, they proved that even the smallest spark could ignite a universe of change. As Elena gazed at the holographic map of the expanding empire, she allowed herself a rare smile. The journey was far from over, but for the first time in a long time, she felt hopeful. Humanity had defied expectations, overcome unimaginable odds, and carved its place among the stars. What lay ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear. No challenge was insurmountable, not for humans.